Dr. Greeley, I turn to you first. Put today in perspective for us, because it's even tough for people to hear Howard Lutnick say Donald Trump knows what he's doing. Because I'll tell you, I spoke to investors, big and small, and CEOs, and not one of them said to me he knows what he's doing, and not one of them believed what Howard was spinning today.
When we watch markets collapse like this, when they all collapse together, usually it's because somebody has bought too much of something. So if we look at what happened in 2000, there were too many tech stocks, people spent too much money on them, right? So that story collapsed. 2008, we could broadly say it was mortgages. Right now, it's American machine right now, and that's terrifying.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about, because this thing that we're losing is trust as the U.S. being a global superpower. Okay, when you've got our allies like Japan and South Korea now working on a regional trade agreement with China, right? When you've got Canada and Mexico, who just a few years ago with the last Trump administration renegotiated a trade deal that now got torn up, these countries can't trust us anymore. So when Howard Lutnick says Donald Trump knows what he's doing, he's a business guy, we need to remind ourselves what Donald Trump is an extraordinarily talented politician, branding guy, marketer. He's not. He was never a great business guy. This guy never ran a successful public company. He never ran a successful big operation. He went bankrupt 6 times, and what he was most known for was shirking on contracts.
Trump says,
not standing
if
up
you
to
act
deals.
together, we will impose devastating tariffs on you. As a matter of fact, the White House trade team has already put this plan on the table, according to rumors in Washington on March 28th. Some officials warned this step will reduce the GDP of everyone, including the US, and explode inflation. But it is known that Trump will not easily give up on the idea of maintaining our power no matter what the price.
Scott Bessent said people need to cool their jets, and everyone has to think long-term, long-term. First of all, we haven't heard a long-term plan from the administration, but more importantly, good or bad, we live in a country that demands short-termism. That's not how we operate anymore.
I mean, it's a smash and grab. I mean, what they're trying to do, and you heard it in what Howard Lutnick was saying, they're trying to quickly get as many concessions as they can. I think this is the most generous way you could look at it for the reason you brought up, which is that it takes many years to build factories. It can take years to reorder supply chains. So I think what they're hoping is that they're just going to get what they can get. And of course, that is, I mean, you know, maybe that'll lead to some concessions. Maybe that'll lead to some commitments by companies overseas to invest in the United States. It's possible there could be some good things here. But the thing when you talk to business people is they're worried about the uncertainty. And like you're creating this situation where it's impossible. Instead of encouraging investment, it's very hard to make an investment because you don't know what the policy is going to look like tomorrow or a week from now or a year from now.
Justin, I want to read to you something that Steve Bannon told the Wall Street Journal, that he said when it comes to negotiating with other countries, every day will be like Christmas. At the end of the day, what really excites him is talking about a deal with Canada, having Witkoff update him on Russia. And then whatever small wins he gets, they're going to act like it's a big, giant win and run a victory lap. That's all great for the show. And this goes back to what I said. Donald Trump is great at the show and the performance. But we could see businesses be forced to restructure, right? Think about any business, Justin, that's in a shopping mall, right? Where are all the products made at those stores? Overseas. And right now, they're going to be crippled. It's not just like they're going to have to change the price tags. They're going to be putting signs in the windows, 25% more expensive. Why? Tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, so Trump claims these are reciprocal tariffs. And that sort of says, he says, you know, we're getting ripped off. So therefore, in Trump's mind, the stakes here are really high, that if he strikes a deal, he'll be able to stop us getting ripped off. The problem with that is it simply isn't true. Most of our trading partners have average tariff rates of 1 to 2%. Trump is about to move the United States to 20%. We will have tenfold higher tariff rates than any other country. Even if he strikes all the best deals in the world, he'll be only able to reduce tariff rates by 1 to 2% because that's all they currently are. He's starting a fight where there's no...
Following recent events in the United States, many countries are now seeking new trade routes and markets, bypassing the American system. Donald Trump, through his own hands, shut the door on the economic growth of the nation. He believed that by imposing sanctions and raising tariffs on imports and exports, especially on strategic goods, he could boost the American economy. But the opposite happened. While the public was caught off guard, many experts saw it coming and warned that a collapse was inevitable. And they were right. The markets plunged, and with them, America's reputation as the global financial leader. India, for instance, is strengthening ties with Russia, both militarily and industrially. Each time the U.S. imposed new sanctions on Russia, the Russian Federation grew stronger, attracting new partners, many of whom were once firmly under America's wing. Now, as American influence weakens, the balance is shifting. A number of Asian nations are uniting with Russia to form economic alliances and explore the possibility of a shared currency, designed to challenge the dollar's dominance and reduce dependency on it. The world is changing. The protective umbrella once offered by the U.S. is tearing apart. If this trajectory continues, America may soon lose its status as the financial epicenter of the world. Ironically, all of this was triggered by one man's attempt, Donald Trump's, to reshape the world through economic isolation. But now he finds himself stranded on a drifting iceberg in a stormy ocean. And more nations are rubbing their hands, watching as the iceberg tilts, with the cold waters already pouring in. The United States stands on the brink of a new reckoning, and 2025 has only just begun.
Comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has risen so rapidly in recent years that the world economic community has begun to ask, are the BRICS preparing to overthrow the dollar's reign in the global financial order? Indeed, the BRICS countries are openly discussing the idea of reducing dependence on the dollar as a reserve currency and establishing an alternative payment system. This is precisely where Trump's anger erupted. If you look for alternatives to the dollar, we will hit you with 100% to 150% tariffs, he declared from Washington, in perhaps one of the most extraordinary threats in the history of trade US as a whole. Or do they want to facilitate trade among themselves? While most experts are skeptical that the bloc can create a new global reserve currency in the short term, formulas such as a BRICS bank or gold-backed trade mechanisms are being discussed. Russia and China, in particular, have recognized the geopolitical advantages of breaking away from dollar dependence. India, though more hesitant, is warming to the idea of global financial diversification, with steps such as paying for oil in rupees. If we trade in our own currency, why should we depend on the dollar? Asked Brazil's president. South Africa shares similar concerns. In short, these 5 countries that question the dominance of the dollar could become even more united with Trump's threat. Some say that the more aggressive Trump acts, the more cooperation within BRICS will accelerate. But what would happen if such a 100% or 150% tariff were actually imposed? Analysts say that the world economy could enter a very serious recession. These depend on China, India, and even Brazil for their supply chains. A 150% tariff could send prices skyrocketing in areas such as raw materials, electronic parts, food, and textiles. Consumer inflation could spike. There is also talk of Chinese retaliation. Russia has already minimized trade with the West.